Moments ago, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, a targeted military operation to roll back the Iranian threat to Israel's very survival.
What if the war you're seeing on the news was written down 2,600 years ago? What if the conflict between Israel and Iran isn't just about geopolitics, but about a biblical prophecy of a final apocalyptic war? Is this the beginning of the end? Stick with me as we uncover the truth. For decades, they fought in the shadows, but as their conflict explodes into the open, many are asking, this the war foretold in ancient prophecies, a war that sets the stage for the end of days? But it wasn't always this way. Before 1979, they were allies, partners in a volatile region. Then, the Islamic Revolution, a turning point that redrew the map of the Middle East and forged an enmity that many students of Bible prophecy Stabatankat see as a critical step towards a prophesied end-times conflict. A new doctrine was born, the Axis of Resistance, a network of militias armed in Tehran, all aimed at Israel. And in cyberspace, a digital battlefield where viruses became weapons, targeting the heart of Iran's nuclear ambitions. But in April 2024, the shadows receded. A direct strike on an Iranian consulate in Damascus killed senior commanders. Iran's response was unprecedented. The shadow war was over. A direct war had begun, and with it, the world began to wonder if the 2,600-year-old prophecy of Ezekiel was unfolding before our very eyes. June 2025, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion by Prime Minister Netanyahu. Drew from a biblical verse, Basateking placing a note at the western wall that read, "The people shall rise up as a lion," as Israeli jets strike deep into the land. Once known as Persia, the words of Ezekiel 38 resonate. A prophesied aggressor, allied with Persia, modern-day Iran, would one day come against Israel. The objective: dismantle Iran's nuclear program and decapitate its military leadership. For civilians, on both sides, the war was a terrifying reality. In Tel Aviv, missile strikes brought the front line home. In Tehran, the toll was devastating. Airstrikes on military targets caused collateral damage, with hundreds of civilian casualties reported. But, as is the war of Ezekiel 38, the text names a coalition led by Gog, of the land of Magog, allied with Persia. For centuries, interpreters have debated, who is Gog? Is it Russia, the great power to the uttermost north? Or does the evidence point closer to home, to Turkey? This single question creates two radically different prophetic scenarios, a controversy that divides theologians and strategists alike. And other prophecies add even more complexity. The prophet Jeremiah foretold disaster for Elam, ancient Iran, but also promised its ultimate restoration in the latter days, a promise of redemption, not just destruction. Some point to the explosive growth of the underground church in Iran as a fulfillment of this redemptive promise, a divine counter-narrative to the drums of war. The book of Daniel adds another layer, describing a spiritual battle where the Prince of Persia, a powerful demonic entity, opposes God's will, suggesting earthly conflicts are mirrors of unseen wars. So, is this the final war? Most theologians say no. The War of Ezekiel, they argue, is a precursor to a final battle known as Armageddon. It is stage setting, not the final act. Yet, the pieces are on the board. Array-gathered Israel, an ideologically hostile Iran, and a world on edge. History is filled with failed attempts to map headlines onto scripture, a warning against certainty. Whether fulfillment or foreshadowing, one truth remains. An ancient conflict, described in holy texts, now plays out with modern weapons, and the world holds its breath, caught between the pages of prophecy